It's Messi! It is the cleanest of clean finishes from the best on the planet.
It's time for the biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, are top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behavior.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport. Let's join the team for the biggest show in the world of sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.
It's a very good evening, Zimbabwe. It is ZiFM Sport on a Friday. The weekend is here. Pity it's not a long one like the last one, but still going to be a good one. And you started it the right way by tuning into my station, your station, ZiFM Stereo, and chiefly ZiFM Sport. The team is here. Mike Madoda is here. Chris Midzi is here. Sean Tafirinika, our producer, is here. It wouldn't happen without him. And I'm Barry Manandi. Well, what can you look forward to on the home front? La Liga club Real Betis will launch the first Betis Academy in Africa, in Zimbabwe, this year, in one of the biggest developments in local football for years. In international sport news, we dive into the controversy in South Africa, where former Proteas wicketkeeper Tsolekile, who is serving a 12-year ban from the game for his role in South Africa's 2015 match-fixing scandal, wants current director of cricket and former national captain Graeme Smith to apologize to him.
And around the world in 60, we take off in Auckland, where Sunday's final Super Rugby Aotearoa match between the Blues and Crusaders at Eden Park has been cancelled. In Kentucky, Serena Williams edged out her older sister Venus in the latest installment of their on-court sibling rivalry to reach the quarterfinals of the inaugural Lexington Open. And in Florida, the Portland Trail Blazers and Memphis Grizzlies claimed critical wins early this morning to clinch their places in the Western Conference play-in.
And then we'll get the party started right here on ZiFM Sports with our Player of the Day, Fire Friday. And then we light it up in the beautiful game. The Castle Lager World Football Report is back, and it couldn't have returned on a bigger night of football. Barcelona taking on the might of Bayern Munich in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. Big game that we'll be previewing right here on the show. And Bayern Munich's head coach, Hansi Flick, has heaped praise on Barcelona's Lionel Messi, but he believes that he's got a plan to stop him tonight. Tomorrow we'll see Manchester City in action as they take on Lyon, and their captain David Silva says that they can't relax when they take on the French side after seeing several big names dumped out of the Champions League. But before we get to those previews, we'll take a look at last night's action, where Julian Nagelsmann was delighted with RB Leipzig's stunning win over Atletico Madrid, but was keen to quickly turn his focus towards semi-final opponents PSG.
Let's get into it now with our power play. This one's called Levitating. It's by Dua Lipa. It's featuring Madonna and Missy Elliott. This is the Blessed Madonna remix of Levitating.
The Warriors, the Chevrons, the Cheetahs, the Mighty Warriors, and the Sables. From the pool to the track to the field, we are Team Zimbabwe. The Home Front. Local sports news and analysis.
Don't forget, coming up, we've got an update from the local sports news, volleyball, chess, and organized games where we look at tertiary institutions. That comes up in our local sports news roundup. But first, the home front. And on the home front, La Liga club Real Betis will launch the first Betis Academy in Africa, in Zimbabwe, this year, in one of the biggest developments in local football for years. The launch of the state-of-the-art academy is said to be a major boost for grassroots development in domestic football. It will also be the first of a series of sports projects in Zimbabwe, which Real Betis say they will launch in this country. The projects, according to the club, will be part of their strategic plan to extend their brand throughout the world. And Chris, very exciting development this, the fact that Real Betis has chosen Zimbabwe, that we're going to have a La Liga club opening an academy in Zimbabwe. It bodes well for Zimbabwe football in general, doesn't it?
Definitely. I think this is incredibly exciting, especially for if you're taking a look at the kids who will be going through the academy and what opportunities that's going to create for them. Also, I think it's important for local coaches as well, because obviously if you have this type of scenario, you're going to be having a skills exchange, which is something that we need critically in our country. So for players, for future players, for coaches, I think this is something really, really exciting. And it's also good to see that it's being done by the local partner is a young entrepreneur who's actually going into sport. He's had some interest in boxing as well, and now going into football, and he's managed to already create this kind of relationship and to start that relationship between Zimbabwe and Spain. And we could see quite a bit coming from this academy in future.
Yeah, no, the statement on the Real Betis website as a news release said this: as an initial step, Real Betis and Real Betis Foundation will start operating from October together with ASM, the first Betis Academy on the African continent, specifically in Harare, Zimbabwe's capital city, with the aim of developing grassroots football in the region by implementing the club's methodology as long as the evolution of the pandemic allows it. Obviously, we've got to wait for the pandemic to sort of play out, and ultimately when it's safe for travel and the skills exchange being talked about by Chris can happen. But in truth, as a principle, as a concept, ASM has done a phenomenal job in showing the direction that Zimbabwean football, and indeed sport, should be headed.
Yeah, absolutely, Barry. And I think the important thing, just to echo what Chris said, is the opportunities that will be availed at a number of levels. I think for me, the most important levels being three. First of all, the players, the young players, who are going to have an opportunity possibly to train at a very high level. Secondly, the coaches, the interaction they're going to have with Real Betis, as well as the upskilling that they're going to enjoy as a result of this union. And then thirdly, football administration. It's something that we overlook in Zimbabwe. There is a hope that they'll be able to empower those who are involved in the administration of the project here in Zimbabwe, namely, of course, the athlete sphere management, ASM, under Sibanda. Hopefully they'll be capacitated to do even more and to operate at a level that's going to challenge other institutions here in Zimbabwe. We have seen a lot of academies in operation, namely in the two major cities, Harare and Bulawayo, but they operate almost as a hobby. They operate almost as a pastime to those that own these academies, Barry, and would love to see a more professional approach, would love to see these academies take on the format that we see in Europe, in Spain, at Real Betis, where the academy becomes a school and a home for the child that's being trained.
Yeah, certainly a school and a home for where these boys are developing their educational skills as well as their footballing skills, and that's the hope that this will ultimately be. No doubt that football will still play the central role of it. I'm particularly excited, Chris, about the fact that they talk about them wanting to permeate the club's methodology, the way that Real Betis does things, into this academy, and that can only be good.
It can only be good. I think that professionalism that Mike was talking about, getting at all levels. You have, for example, how they play, their structures, how they're going to be able to get these players to a different level, I think, that we're used to seeing in Zimbabwe, which is something that I think is critical. We don't have at the moment enough institutions with a similar structure where we'll be able to infuse a different culture, a different style of playing, a lot more professionalism, and that's what we'll be able to see from them, hopefully.
All right, and La Liga themselves are playing a massive role in rolling out the brand, the Spanish brand of football globally, because we understand that Real Betis is also looking at markets in China, Morocco, United States, Mexico, and then obviously on the African continent in Zimbabwe, and that was off their official website. But no doubt La Liga themselves are playing a huge role in the development of football and their brand globally, and this sort of fits well into that. La Liga themselves, this no doubt will be a point of pride for them, because it fits very well into what we discussed some time ago, Mike, when you had some interaction with La Liga. This is exactly the sort of things that they're looking at doing across the globe.
Yeah, absolutely, Barry. I think La Liga has played second fiddle to the English Premier League, especially in Africa, for far too long. And one of the reasons, Barry, is that from a historical point of view, Spain did not hold much in the way of land or colonies on the African continent. I think, say for San Principe and Sao Tome or something like that, they really didn't have anything to call home. The English, Barry, just from a historical point of interest, of course, you take a look at your major footballing nations in sub-Saharan Africa, Ghana, Nigeria, all English colonies, Zimbabwe, Botswana, South Africa, Zambia, influence in Kenya, etc. So as a result, they've got that followership. So La Liga has been left to play catch-up, and one of the ways that they can play catch-up is through the initiatives that they're setting up, like this academy here in Zimbabwe. This will inevitably create the interest, first of all, around Real Betis as a football club, and then secondly, La Liga as well, which has been growing as a result of television. Big followership of Real Madrid and Barcelona already. People know Atletico Madrid, people know Sevilla, people might not know that Real Betis is the other team in Seville, but they'll get to know that in due time. Because Real Betis will now set base here in Zimbabwe. And the hope, Barry, is also that it's not just about Harare. It also becomes a base which they can reach out in the country, in the nation, going into Mondoro, going into Sanyati, going as far as Nkai, Binga, Chipinge, areas like that, Buhera, and trying to locate the talent. And more than that, reaching out into the region as well, into Zambia, into Lesotho, into Swaziland, Botswana, Namibia, etc., make their base here in Zimbabwe. And I think then it will be truly beneficial for Real Betis and La Liga as a brand.
Absolutely, and I think that exactly as you say, Mike, Harare can be the base. And again, as you pointed out, I think there needs to be work done on ensuring that the boys are accommodated so that the boys from as far as Binga can actually come in, live, learn, and play football. The three things that a young boy or girl, in fact, it may extend to the women's game as well, would want to do. So exciting news for Zimbabwean football. It's upwards and onwards as Real Betis prepares to set up base in Zimbabwe. Their first academy on the African continent right here in little old Zimbabwe.
Hi, this is Alexandra Maseko, and I'm the national basketball team captain, and you're listening to ZiFM Sport.
Right, let's keep you updated with what's happening locally, starting with volleyball, where the Bulawayo Volleyball Association chairperson William Majiro says hope of having a normal season this year are fading away with each passing week, and more effort is now being placed on getting action in beach volleyball. The BVA season was initially set to begin in March before all sporting activities were suspended, and that it has been classified among high-risk sports means it is unlikely to resume action anytime soon. Majiro said a normal season at this time seems impossible. In chess news, the Zimbabwe Chess Federation is gearing up for the inaugural Online Chess Olympiad, an event that will see 163 teams and over 1,500 participants from all over the world battling for glory. The six-member Zimbabwean team is leaving no stone unturned in their preparation for the first ever Online Chess Olympiad, which will be hosted by the World Chess Federation from next Monday to the 30th of this month. While the over-the-board Olympiad has been postponed to 2021 due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the inaugural online edition is expected to captivate chess enthusiasts globally. Let's wrap it up with organized games, where Zimbabwe Tertiary Institutions Sports Union President Olivata Guriro says they have cancelled all regional tournaments scheduled for this year. The country was supposed to take part at the Confederation of Universities and Colleges Sports Association in Lesotho from the 28th of July to the 4th of August. However, the tournament was cancelled because of the COVID-19 outbreak.
Hi, this is Mike Madoda, and you can catch me and the team for all the latest breaking news out of the world of sport, local as well as international, on your favorite station, my station, your station, ZiFM. We are Z-Team on ZiFM Sport.
Z. From the front of the grid to the back of the net, it's ZiFM Sport. International Sports News Roundup, where the world comes out to play.
Don't forget, we're on Twitter. Follow and interact with us at ZiFM Sport. Lots of stuff to always talk about, especially over the weekend. In the beautiful game that's coming up in the second half of the show, we'll be building up to that big game tonight. It's Spain versus Germany. It's Barcelona versus Bayern Munich. But before we get there, some international sport news from across the Limpopo, where Proteas wicketkeeper Tsolekile, who is serving a 12-year ban from the game for his role in South Africa's 2015 match fixing scandal, wants current director of cricket and former national captain Graeme Smith to apologize to him. Last night, Tsolekile appeared on Robert Marawa's Marawa Sport Worldwide for the third time in 8 days, as he continued to highlight what he considered to be a series of injustices experienced during his playing days and involvement in the national setup. On the same show on Tuesday night, Tsolekile aimed a tirade of attacks and questions at Graeme Smith.
It seems you went away of most things, and now I'm putting it to you that my experiences under your leadership are. Graeme Smith, were you also not aware that more than 6-7 years of continuous days in the Proteas team, there wasn't any black player under your watch? Graeme Smith, were you also not aware that Timmy said, I quote, if I was white, I would have played in Australia? Graeme Smith, were you also not aware that I was Mark Boucher's deputy for more than 7 years playing SAA, patiently waiting for my opportunity, Graeme Smith? Graeme Smith, were you also not aware that I was the best keeper in the country? Graeme Smith, were you also not aware that just like Makai and Tini, I've also been lonely in that environment? How you blend and left me out of the team's social activities. Graeme Smith, were you also not aware that in most tours, either we win or lose the series, I've traveled back alone because I felt I should have played in most series. I was giving you signs, the red flag. Again, Graeme Smith, you went away.
Now, Barry, let's take a look at Tsolekile's grievances with Cricket South Africa, and especially with former skipper Graeme Smith. They really center on the fact that he was overlooked at a time when he felt he should have been the wicketkeeper for the Proteas, and he felt that the reasons that were given back at the time meant that he lost out on an opportunity that he was never able to enjoy. And he is talking about institutionalized racism and systemic racism in South African cricket.
Absolutely, Mike. And it's opened a Pandora's box in cricket South Africa generally, because in truth, it's putting a spotlight on some of the decisions that have been made over the years, not least of all Tsolekile's decision, their decision not to include him in the team, even though he was called up as backup and could keep wicket and also has handy with the bat as well. I think this has shown us that many of the decisions that were made about what was happening around Cricket South Africa over the years weren't necessarily made on merit, but were actually made to try and entrench the position of the white players in that squad. So it's a fascinating case and very tragic all at the same time.
Fascinating and tragic, and maybe let's rewind, Chris, and go back to the Black Lives Matter movement and when it first reared its head and then began making strides around the world. It hit South Africa, and one of the players, Ngidi, who is of course in the current national team, came out very strongly in support of Black Lives Matter, and he urged South Africa to have a bit of introspection and to have a look at themselves in terms of how they treated black players. And in the aftermath of that, I think about 30 players, former players of the Proteas, players of color. So we're talking about former black players, Indian players, and colored players. A lot of them actually who distinguished themselves for the Proteas came out also urging the same. And this has now caused a rift in South African cricket, because what you have now seen is that the white players have come out very staunchly in defense of the status quo and the past, But a lot of these players who are involved in that system are saying, even Makai Antini himself, a lot of people thought Makai Antini was on the in. He's come out and he said, no, hang on, guys. The situation wasn't perfect. In fact, the situation was deplorable. We just didn't speak out at that time because we couldn't, because we'd become victims. But now, Black Lives Matter is giving us the opportunity to share our stories.
Definitely. I think when you take a look at South Africa specifically, the racism is still incredibly structural. That's why it's been able to continue for such a long period of time. One would think that after apartheid, there would have been, in fact, there were structures that were put in place to ensure that you had more black players coming through. But when you have a scenario where a particular race is still able to control certain aspects, for example, the selection of players and determining a player's almost at the exposure that they get, the opportunities that they get, and that's all determined by race. This was all building up and this time was going to come. I think it's good that this has happened now, and it's a discussion that needs to be had. And those black, white, colored Indian players, these discussions need to be had. Because, for example, the white players need to understand exactly what the structural racism is. It's one thing to come out and say, in defense of everything that's going on without even making an attempt to understand. And that's exactly where the problem lies. What needs to happen is that these discussions need to be had, and it's incredible that they're happening now, and they need to continue to such a point where future decision making does not hamper players, for example, like it did for Tammy Tsolekile. These are discussions that need to be had. There are structures that need to be put in place, and there are almost repercussions that need to take place in terms of getting rid of the structural racism that exists in South African sport.
Yeah, and just to add to that, Mike, the issue of, and I like the word that Chris has used, which is structural racism, because when we talk about institutionalized racism, some people might look at the phrase that has been coined in the UK, which is BAME, which is Black, Asian, Minority, Ethnic, and think to yourself, can you assign it to South Africa, Cricket South Africa in particular, even though the majority are black and ethnic. You've got to then look at Cricket South Africa in a microcosm and look at the structure of Cricket South Africa. And I believe that even though these conversations need to be had, they are important for us to have, as long as the black majority is not well represented in the structures of Cricket South Africa. This system is going to perpetuate on the basis that there is no one who is fighting the cause of the minorities in the sport. So consequently, decisions like Tsolekile's, decisions around the Chinis of this world, the Ngidis of this world are going to continue to be made because the white folk will be in the majority. So I think there's a wholesome shift that needs to be done in the structure and the system of cricket in South Africa.
And that structure and system has got to go beyond the game, because the one thing that I've noticed in the aftermath of these discussions and interviews and stuff that has been happening, especially around Robert Marawa and his show, is that the system has come out and has defended what has happened in the past very staunchly. And there seems to be a union between the former players, administrators, and mainstream media. And this is where the media plays either a building role or a divisive role, because you take a look at the media right now, it's almost like they are fighting Marawa. They are almost saying, why are you exposing this? Why are you giving players like Tsolekile airtime? Why are you allowing him to speak out, And people have come out and almost tried to say, no, he's just a bad apple. But the problem is, Barry, there are now players who have come out. Like I said, Makai Antini has spoken out. We have Alviro Peterson, who's now going to be coming onto the show next week. He was the mainstay of the Proteas batting for a few seasons. And he's coming. So he was certainly on the in. And he's coming out and saying, this is what has been happening. And a number of other players as well who are coming out. Roger Telemarcus, guys like that are coming out. I think Herschel Gibbs even signed the petition that they signed around Black Lives Matter. And so this is something that just didn't happen to people who were overlooked for selection. There was also racism that was experienced even by those who were selected and were actually wearing the Proteas shirt.
100%, Mike. And the reason for the defense is because it is a system. If you look at the pipeline in South African cricket, it starts right at Colts cricket, with a junior, primary school junior cricket, right through to high school, college, and ultimately into the provincial club and into the franchise cricket, ultimately to the Proteas. So to ensure that they protect that pipeline and the right sort of players, in their view, are coming through, they've all got to then defend the position and entrench it and make sure that it stays the way it is. But the status quo cannot continue because it hasn't worked.
It hasn't worked, and so this is a story that we're going to be keeping an eye on as it develops. Robert Marawa has promised more and more revelations. More and more players are speaking out and coming forward to tell their story of their experiences in the white or the creams of the Proteas over the last 20 years. It's a very interesting one, this one, and like Barry and Chris have pointed out, it's systemic, it's structural, it needs to get fixed if players of colour are going to stand a chance in South African cricket.
Hi, my name is Sean Williams, Zimbabwe cricket captain. You're listening to ZiFM Sport.
Z. Around the world in 60 seconds. International sports news.
We take off in Auckland, where Sunday's final Super Rugby Aotearoa match between the Blues and Crusaders at Eden Park has been cancelled. This comes after the New Zealand government confirmed that the city would remain in a COVID-19 alert level 3 lockdown for another 12 days. The match could have been played in a closed stadium with no fans had Auckland dropped to level 2 with fans allowed at level 1. The Crusaders have already secured the Super Rugby Aotearoa title after a 32-22 win over the Highlanders in Christchurch last weekend. Meanwhile, Saturday's Highlanders versus Hurricanes match in Dunedin will go ahead under level 2 restrictions with no fans allowed. We head over to Kentucky, where Serena Williams edged out older sister Venus in their latest installment of their on-court sibling rivalry to reach the quarterfinals of the inaugural Lexington Open. Serena, who in her first round match was 5 points from defeat against world number 60 Bernard Pera, used some clutch shot making during the decisive set to prevail in a thrilling 3-6, 6-3, 6-4 battle. The 23-time Grand Slam champion rallied from a set down and then a 4-2 deciding set to defeat her siblings in an entertaining 2-hour and 19-minute match on center court. We touched down in Florida, where the Portland Trailblazers and Memphis Grizzlies claimed critical wins early this morning to clinch their places in the Western Conference play-in. Portland will host the 9th seed Grizzlies tomorrow night, needing just one win to ensure a playoff berth. If the Blazers lose, the team will play again Sunday, with the winner claiming the final playoff spot. The winner will face the top-seeded Los Angeles Lakers in the first round of the playoffs.
The big leagues, the big teams, the big players. The beautiful game on ZiFM Sport.
Well, there's only one show in town in European football, and it's got to be the UEFA Champions League. Manchester United fans, no doubt, will have a different story pertaining to that, as they'll talk about the Europa League. But certainly today, we're going to talk about Champions League of football. Now, Julian Nagelsmann, he was delighted with RB Leipzig's stunning Champions League win over Atletico Madrid, but was keen to quickly turn his focus towards semi-final opponents Paris Saint-Germain. Leipzig reached the last 4 of Europe's elite club competition after Tyler Adams' 88-minute strike deflected beyond Jan Oblak clinched a 2-1 victory last night. The Bundesliga side were good value for their success, despite seeing Dani Olmo's opener cancelled out by João Felix, who won and converted a penalty inside the last 20 minutes. All right, now the win represents surely the greatest moment in Leipzig's short history, yet head coach Nagelsmann acknowledged that there was little time to celebrate.
Ich habe es nicht alles 100% verstanden, aber eine Titelansage gibt's nicht, aber es ist ja selbst.
I'm not going to say anything about the final. Of course, we do want to reach the final now. That's just normal, I think. If we get there, we can speak about other things.
Z.
In truth, fair dues to RB Leipzig. They certainly deserve this victory. They were the better side on the evening, weren't they, Mike?
Yeah, absolutely, Barry. I thought over the course of the 90 minutes, they created more opportunities. They did a lot of the pushing. They played more as a team. They looked like the side with the better structure, with the better setup and with the better tactics, and they carried the day. It would have been slightly tough on them had Atletico Madrid gone on to win, because there was a time, especially after that equalizer, where Atletico Madrid looked like they had a bit of the momentum. And they were pushing to get a winner. But RB Leipzig were able to get the winner. Listen, fortuitous, but they'll say that you make your own luck in football. The shot was taken, a huge deflection, gave All Black no chance, 2-1. Best time to score, Barry, with just a couple of minutes left on the clock. And I think just about 5 minutes or so added in added time by the ref. Gave Atletico Madrid very little in the way of an opportunity to get back into the game. And they're now in the semi-finals. First time that they've been there, and it's good to see another German football club in the semi-finals of this competition, other than Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund. I think the last time we saw a German side, other than those two, at this stage of the competition was Schalke 04, and that was about 8 seasons ago. So it's good for German football, and it will do the Bundesliga a world of good, especially with the Bayern Munich having the opportunity to become a second German team out of the 4 that will be in the semi-finals tonight.
Mike makes a fine point there, Chris. And listen, as media practitioners, we're often criticized for romanticizing stories that you can't be romantic about. But in truth, we have to be romantic about RB Leipzig. They're just 11 years old. They're already and that's starting from the 5th tier of German football. They're now already in the Bundesliga, have finished second, runners-up in the Bundesliga before. They're Champions League regulars, and now they're in the semi-final of the Champions League. It's a stunning rise, and you've got to say that it's thanks in large part to the signing and retention of Julian Nagelsmann, a young coach who has brought this team to where they are, playing entertaining football, effective, winning football.
Definitely. For such a young coach, a young manager rather, he's 33 years old and he's managed to get this team to where it is. I think it's also testament to the fact that there's been, you could see constant progression with RB Leipzig. You could constantly see the evolution, that progression, like you said, from the 5th division coming all the way up, and then now getting into the Champions League, and now Champions League semi-final. So it's that constant progression, and that's only a result of having the right people on your team. And that includes the management, like Julian Nagelsmann, like you mentioned. He's a brilliant coach, and we will only see better from him, especially with RB Leipzig. He's managed to do this, and like we said, there's going to be that progression, and it's going to come from him being this incredible coach.
Mikey, end of an era for you, and here let me define that. The era of your Diego Simeones, your Jose Mourinhos, who argue that defense is also part of the game, and it is, but the defensive strategy that Atletico Madrid featured hasn't delivered on the level of your Pep Guardiolas, Julian Nagelsmann, your Jurgen Klopps, who are playing open, expansive, attacking football.
And I think that's primarily, Barry, because Diego Simeone hasn't had the pieces that he would love to have to sort of like implement his more dark methods that we've seen in years gone by. He doesn't have the same, players like Diego Godin. He doesn't have players of that ilk anymore playing for him. Though we're key, he had guys who knew how to defend. And that's critical. It's the same thing that we talk about with Jose Mourinho. Jose Mourinho needs a certain type of player to be able to implement his tactics and his methods. So the criticism that came for Diego Simeone, I think a season ago, was that Atletico Madrid had become boring, that they were negative side, and he tried to change things up. He tried to bring in more attacking players, etc. But I just don't think he's got the tactical nous to play football that way. And I think he's better served playing football the way that he knows how to play. So I think Atletico Madrid will be looking to get a few more players, especially in defensive positions, who are able to implement his methods. And last night, I think one of the players that they missed very badly was Thomas Partey. Thomas Partey is an absolutely wonderful player. And I think this would have been very different, this game, if he was playing, because he knows how to control things in central midfield. He knows how to read the game, when to put in a tackle, when to make an interception, etc. And he was badly missed.
Are you putting it on Diego Simeone then because he was on the bench? Is it a selection issue?
Barry, it would be folly for us to talk about end of an era in a cup competition. Let's not forget, guys, that UEFA Champions League is a cup competition. That's what it is. People have tried to glorify it, as this thing that careers should be forged out of. For me, it doesn't make any sense if Julian Nagelsmann goes on to win the UEFA Champions League and he comes 7th next season. Because the ultimate measure of a coach is how you perform week in, week out in the league. Okay, it's a nice to have. So what I'm saying is that Diego Simeone will never be judged by his board and be given a boot because he's been kicked out of the Champions League. No, that is not the measure. They see how effectively he's performing in La Liga. As long as he's able to keep Atletico Madrid in a Champions League position, okay? And let's make no mistake about it. Atletico Madrid are who they are and what they are because of Diego Simeone. No one else. He took this club when this club was wallowing in mediocrity, when this club wasn't even a Champions League club. He's taken them to 2 finals, okay?
But last night he got it wrong.
Yes, and it happens. Klopp got it wrong in the round of 16. Does that make him a bad coach?
No,
it doesn't. Zidane got it wrong versus City, beaten home and away. Does it make him a bad coach? No. They've just lost in a cup competition. That's it.
And that cup competition is very important. It is the Champions League, the UEFA Champions League. You can't judge a manager on it. However, there are 4 managers that will be celebrating come the end of Saturday night because there are 2 semi-finals to go. But let's wrap up the ones that have gone already. On Wednesday night, Eric Maxim, Choupo-Moting, 93rd minute strike secured a truly remarkable comeback as Paris Saint-Germain came from behind and beat Atalanta 2-1 and to reach the Champions League semi-finals.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, that was a really, really good game. And I've been very surprised at the level of criticism, guys, Chris, that Neymar has been taking in the aftermath of this game. I know he missed a couple of chances in the game, but my goodness, I thought he was absolutely fantastic because he kept going until the very end and he created both goals.
Definitely. I think in the first half of that particular game, he tried again and again and again, and he didn't manage to. Those finishes are absolutely terrible. He didn't manage to finish successfully. But if you take a look at his performance in the second half, creating those chances for both goals, I think that's where people now had almost had blinkers on to say Neymar's not performing tonight. Meanwhile, he was doing the work throughout the game. And you get a lot of criticism for Neymar. I think for a lot of people, he's almost an easy target to say he should be performing in a certain way. So when things don't go right, in just 45 minutes of the game, it's on Neymar. Meanwhile, throughout the game, he was trying the entire game. That's why he got that man of the match, because of that performance, is he was trying throughout that 98 odd minutes.
Barry, he's got a wonderful opportunity, doesn't Neymar, this time round to actually go all the way. PSG, they are in the semi-finals for the first time in 25 years. Neymar, this is one of the reasons why he joined PSG, isn't it? Because he felt that he could lead a team to glory and sort of like lay a stake as one of the best players, if not the best players in the world. He's got a wonderful opportunity. They've got RB Leipzig in the semi-finals. They will be licking their lips. They'll be quietly confident that they can get the job done.
They certainly will. And you talk about leadership. In truth, we saw Neymar leading a team for the first time in a long time on Wednesday night. He was absolutely immense. So he's got a golden opportunity here. Hopefully they don't let it slip, and hopefully there won't be any slip-ups, whether from the dugout in terms of management of Thomas Tuchel or any slip-ups on the field of play by the players themselves. They've got a good chance to go to the final. Once they get to the final, look, anything can happen. It's 90 minutes of football. And also, the fact that it's a single leg against RB Leipzig I think they'll fancy themselves. They think in 90 minutes we can probably take this team. When it's two-legged, you're looking at away goals, blah, blah, blah. There's all permutations that come into it. But here, 90 minutes of football, PSG will think we're going all the way to the final.
Well, we've got another 90 minutes of action in store tonight, and it's the big one, the pick of the fixtures. And Bayern Munich head coach Hansi Flick has heaped praise on Lionel Messi ahead of the meeting, and he believes he has a plan to stop him. The two sides, that's Bayern Munich and Barcelona, meet in the Champions League quarterfinals in Lisbon, with Messi coming off the back of scoring a wonder goal in the 3-1 win over Napoli in the last round. Flick was asked to compare the 33-year-old with his own forward, Robert Lewandowski, who is the competition's top goal scorer with 13 goals. Let's hear from him.
Ich denke, es ist jetzt nicht FC Bayern München gegen Messi, sondern es ist FC Bayern München gegen
I believe it's not just Bayern against Lionel Messi. It's Bayern against Barcelona. Messi is a world-class player, and we have obviously thought about how to play him, but I won't reveal that here. We need to do it as a team. It is important to play smart against him, to see the spaces and put him under pressure in the one-on-one and win those. I can tell you that we have a lot of respect for them, because Barcelona have been among the best teams in Europe for decades.
It's almost tempting, Barry, isn't it, to make this about Messi and Lewandowski, a comparison between the two. But this will be a clash between two very good sides with potential match winners in almost every position in attack.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that it lives up to the billing, whereby we've got two attacking sides. They don't know any other way to play. They both know only one way, which is going forward. If we're to draw, we can draw comparisons all over the field. But it's built to be a very, very entertaining fixture. Hansi Flick saying he's got a plan for Messi. We've heard that before, and we've seen many managers fall by the wayside. Messi is a special player. You've got to have a team effort that works towards nullifying not only the threat of Messi, but everyone around him as well. Should be an entertaining affair.
Entertaining affair, Chris, but Bayern Munich will certainly be buoyed by the fact that they've had such a wonderful run of form, not just after the restart of football, but even before that. Let's just say 2020, Bayern Munich have been virtually unstoppable, not just in the Bundesliga, but also in the Champions League. So they carry the better form, and I think they will be confident that they can get one over Barcelona.
Definitely. I think they're going to be incredibly confident going into this. Like you said, they've been this very consistent machine week in, week out since before the restart, and they managed to carry that through to the restart and into now the Champions League. So this is going to be a blockbuster affair, I think, but Bayern Munich, I think, have enough there to take a kind of shaky Barcelona side. We haven't seen the best from Barcelona recently, and I think because of the form that they have, they're going to be incredibly confident going into this Bayern Munich, that they'll be able to take them. And I think that confidence and that bravery is exactly what you need against a team like Barcelona.
Very shaky Barcelona in recent games, but they welcome Sergio Busquets, Arturo Vidal, as well as Ousmane Dembele, three of amongst the best players in the world. They will make a difference in that Barcelona team.
They will, and the opposite of shaky is stable, and I think that the man who brings stability to that Barcelona team shape is Sergio Busquets, because of the balance that he brings to the squad. Him being in that team changes everything. Yes, we might talk about the forward-looking players, your Griezmanns, your Suarez, your Messis, but before they get the ball, the man who controls the rhythm on that drum is Sergio Busquets. Him being in that team is a major fillip and could actually turn this tide.
Yeah, absolutely. And you get the feeling that's where the battle is going to be won in midfield. Bayern Munich have got a good midfield. The likes of Joshua Kimmich has been playing well in that midfield, as has Leon Goretzka. So guys, let's hear your predictions. This is the big one, isn't it? I think whoever wins this one will certainly be labeled as favorites for the competition heading into the semi-finals. Who wins this one, Chris, and what is your scoreline?
Oh, man. I'd love for Bayern Munich to win this, and it's not going to be a big margin. I think by 2-1.
2-1 Bayern Munich, Baz?
Yeah, look, I do have a suspicion that Bayern Munich is going to ultimately prevail. And I think there's going to be goals. So I'm going to go for 3-2 to Bayern Munich.
3-2 Bayern Munich, and I am going with 3-1 to Barcelona. I think Barcelona. Wow. I think they're going to bring it today. I think if Messi wants it and he wills it, I think my heart says Barcelona. My head, though, is going Bayern Munich. I think my head says the other way, 3-1 Bayern Munich. That's what my head says. Yeah. But my heart says, going to be goals. Yeah, my heart says Messi may be on fire tonight.
In the fourth quarterfinal on tomorrow night, Manchester City take on Lyon. And there's also Europa League action. Bruno Fernandes believes winning the Europa League will stand Manchester United in good stead to challenge for the Premier League next season. Fernandes scored from the penalty spot in extra time as United edged past Copenhagen 1-0 earlier this week to set up a Europa League semi-final with Sevilla on Sunday. Another semi-final, Inter Milan versus Shakhtar Donetsk, and that's going to be on Monday night.
That's all we have time for. Have a great weekend, Zimbabwe. We'll catch you on Monday. May God richly bless you. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Bad day. Out.
And it's Messi! It is the cleanest of clean finishes from the best on the planet.
The biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, are top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behavior.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.